Right, hello everyone. We hope you're all well. I'm back after a bit of a trip. Sorry, I was away. I had to get some work done. But I do believe you guys had a lesson on free will, lesson number 8 last week. And due to the time zone changes, I do believe we had a bit of a confusion with some of the friends who were watching. As you know, the times have now changed to winter time zone here. So we had to go kind of like, what was it, 1 hour back or front? Mm-hmm. Anyway, so we're 1 hour back. We're 1 hour behind. So normally what we do is we used to start at 10 p.m. Israel time, but now apparently it's 9 p.m. Israel time. So please make a note of that. And due to that blurriness from last week, I believe some of the friends lost and missed out on the lesson because they came late, and by the time they came, the lesson was already finished. So what we're going to do today is we're going to touch on free will as best we can, in order not to be, on the one hand, we don't want to lag behind. On the other hand, I don't want to go over the material in a way that you guys are going to miss out the most important topic in spirituality. This really is one of the most cornerstones, fundamental pillars of the wisdom of Kabbalah, because it actually gives us an overview of how and where we can actually decide freely and where we can't. So let's first have a bit of a chit chat about that. We're going to use this book to read little portions. As we do, I will let you know what pages they're on. Let's just get a little bit more organized here, and then we should get smashing. Now, freedom of will, free choice. Do we have any is the question. It has always been actually the question of many philosophers, many scientists in the past as well, because for people who look at the laws of nature, who analyze laws of nature, they don't just see humans running around according to what they think they're doing, but what they see is a system. When they look at creation, when they look at the laws of nature at the still vegetative and animal level, and actually the human level as well, what they see is this big system that's just functioning and working. And Kabbalists have done a great job on explaining to us these laws of nature, and obviously because we're interested in the human level of development, they've given us a nice explanation on that as well. And they say that we are just a desire to receive pleasure, which we can actually relate to, because every day and the whole day actually we're running around chasing fulfillments and pleasures. And once we run around and chase these fulfillments and pleasures according to what we see here, what happens is we run after them. If we get them, we feel great for a moment, and then that pleasure disappears, because we learned in the wisdom of Kabbalah that there's a very interesting principle. And that principle is, if I want something, the moment I fulfill that desire, this is my desire, that's the fulfillment. Okay, there we go. All right, so this is my desire, and that's the fulfillment. So the moment I actually start to fulfill my desire, what happens is the taste begins to disappear. It's like having your favorite food or ice cream or dessert. The first bite is the best. The first lick is the best. But afterwards, what happens is your taste buds start to get used to that taste. And what happens is you get a diminishing return on the food. You get a diminishing return on the ice cream, on the chocolate, on everything. So as you begin to eat more, or you begin to fulfill your pleasure, you begin to fulfill your desire more with what you wanted, the pleasure and the desire, they cancel each other out. And once they're cancelled out, that's it. It's back to square one with a big fat minus, actually, because you spent time, money and effort trying to get yourself fulfilled, only to discover afterwards that the desire and the fulfillment cancelled each other out, and you're left feeling once again empty. And now you have to think, where can I get another fulfillment again? So by the time we start dinner, let's say we're very hungry, we start dinner with our favorite food, and we begin to eat, the taste starts to go down, disappear, and in the middle of my food, I'm already thinking about dessert. and then I move on to dessert after the first few tastes. Also, that starts to diminish, and I'm already thinking about, well, should I have a coffee and should I have a smoke afterwards and just put my feet up on the couch or whatever? All right, because it just starts going into this big chasing your tail kind of thing. Now, if our nature, we learned before that our nature is a desire to receive pleasure. Let's do this. Our nature equals desire to receive pleasure. Kabbalists are saying there is no way, Jose, that you can have free choice, because according to what you see in the world, you're just going to go around trying to satisfy yourself. And that's just a merry-go-round. Okay? Dog chasing his tail, same kind of thing. So, because our nature is programmed in such a way, this is how our software works, you see. The difference between an animal and us is we can anticipate and we can expect something for the future. So today we can expect to suffer in order for a reward that we think is going to be worthwhile to get in terms of pleasure in the future. But what happens is what we expect never really turns out the way we expected it. So we're either half fulfilled, and even if we do get fulfillment, it decreases down the line. So even if I get a new car, for example, they did a research in the US, if you got a new car, a brand new car, what you wanted, right? Let's say your favorite car, you got what you wanted. After 3 months, you already stopped feeling pleasure from the car. And then you start feeling pleasure from something else. And that's having something that others don't have. Okay, so let's say you got a really, really nice car and you're in traffic and you look at other people and you've got a better car. That is the thing that gives you satisfaction and not the car itself. It's weird how we're just very, very funny creatures we are. So what happens is from materialism, from material things, although we run after it because the world influences us as such, the world is always telling me how to live my life, how to want, what job to get, what school to go to, everything that's really putting pressure on us is called that environment. And because of that environment and the way our nature works, we start running after things that we initially didn't really care about or want, but because the society advertised it to me and gave me its importance, I began to feel that becoming something like that or buying something like that is the right thing or is a good thing to do, and I'll be happy from it. So we've been conned by the environment really to become something we didn't want to become in the first place. And because our nature is also acting in the software program kind of thing, where we think that we're going to get pleasure, really great pleasure, and have a great life if we do something or if we get something, when those two things come together, what happens is we end up in this merry-go-round, always trying to fulfill ourselves and ending up with a minus, not getting fulfilled at all, because we forgot the law of nature, that desire and pleasure cancel each other out. So all our runarounds in the material world, because of our nature, plus the environment imposing things to me, and making things seem important to me when in fact they weren't important at all in the first place, I run around wasting my life. In such a situation, the summary is we don't have a free choice, because our nature is fixed inside of us, and second of all, the environment is influencing us. When those two things come together, we have nowhere to run. And we are like puppets in the hands of the puppeteer. On the one hand, our nature is running us. On the other hand, the influence of the environment. And thus, henceforth, we get moved around. And that's how we live our lives. So we can't have free choice if our nature is constantly searching to fulfill itself the way it is doing it right now. free choice doesn't mean I can choose what to eat from a menu. Free choice doesn't mean I can choose what I want to wear today or where I want to go today. Because the way our nature works is always according to what I feel right now, the best satisfaction, how I can get it quickly. And in that equation, the things I'm going to choose are always going to be what my desire to receive wants and how I can get it optimally according to my situation, according to my money, according to my time, according to what's out there available. And that, unfortunately, is not free choice. Because if I had put 3 plates of different food in front of a cat or a dog, they'd be sniffing them all out, and they'd be eating the one which they felt tasted best, just like we too. So having freedom of choice is no different than a dog's choice for us. All we have to do, though, is to see it. So let's see how this article is going to show us all that. Let's read a little bit from the Freedom article from page 376, titled Freedom of Will. And we're going to read, well, let's just first open up 376. And we're going to start on page 377, paragraph 3. Okay. And let's see what that is. Cost and reward. Right then. 377 or... Okay, let's start from 376, pleasure and pain. Let's start from there. I just don't like starting in the middle of nowhere. So let's start from page 376, Kabbalah for the student. Pleasure and pain is the subtitle for the article Freedom. And if you don't have the book, just focus with me because it's very important. It's going to talk about how our nature is working. All right. So pleasure and pain. However, when we examine the acts of an individual, we shall find them compulsory. He is compelled to do them and has no freedom of choice. In a sense, he is like a stew cooking on a stove. It has no choice but to cook. And it must cook because Providence has harnessed life with 2 chains, pleasure and pain. The living creatures have no freedom of choice to choose pain or reject pleasure. And man's advantage over animal is that he can aim at a remote goal, meaning to agree to a certain amount of current pain out of choice of future benefit or pleasure to be attained after some time. But in fact, there is no more than a seemingly commercial calculation here, where the future benefit or pleasure seems preferable and advantageous to the agony they're suffering from the pain they have agreed to assume presently. There is only a matter of deduction here, that they deduct the pain and suffering from the anticipated pleasure, and there remains some surplus. Thus only the pleasure is extended. And so it sometimes happens that we are tormented because we did not find the attained pleasure to be the surplus we had hoped for compared to the agony we suffered. Hence we are in deficit just as merchants do. So as you can see from here, let's say a person goes to university, he wants to be a lawyer. Why? Because his dad was a lawyer, and let's say he thinks that the legal profession is great. So he goes to college or university for 4 years, goes through it all, then gets into the profession, and you know what? It's not really quite what he expected. So all those years he worked hard, wasted his time, his energy, money as well, all that time, only to discover after all those years that, you know what, this profession isn't really what I expected. But before he became a lawyer, he thought that this was a great profession and he could make something out of himself. So what happened? The anticipated reward was not what he expected. So he felt like at a loss. A lot of people are like that today. A lot of people change professions because they're just not satisfied with the profession they're in. But imagine all those years they've spent trying to be that, accountant or that doctor or that engineer or I don't know what, that professor of something. And now they feel like life has cheated them. You see, we never know what's really going to happen tomorrow. It's just a gut feeling, a calculation, a hunch, or what we see around us in the environment. Because the environment influences, so we think that being like that or having that will make us, I don't know, more happy or successful or fulfilled, whatever, it doesn't matter. We just think that getting somewhere according to what we see is going to give us more pleasure. But that's just a hunch, because you can never know unless you become what you imagine to be. So along the way, a lot of people just go through these heartbreak moments because they've come out with a big deficit, not wanting to do what they wanted to start, what they started out to do in the first place. And this is how our life is all the time, not just with important decisions, but with many things in life. Even when you go out to do something, you wanted to get, I don't know, you want to have a social activity, you went out, you thought it was going to be great with the guys, but you came home and your wife asked how was it? You said, yeah, it was all right. You're just not getting what you're expecting to get. And in our current nature, the way things are working, with our desire to receive for ourselves, and the desire and the pleasure cancelling each other out, there's no way we can have free choice. There's no way we can be happy either, given that circumstance. But today, our topic is free choice. Now, because we're a desire to receive, and that's working in an automatic way, like I just described, from the moment we wake up with a desire to do something. Okay, we either want to have breakfast, or we want to go take a shower, or we want to go to the gym, or we want to go for a walk, or we need to get to work, and so on. The moment we start to wake up until the moment we sleep, our whole life is just trying to get things done in order for us to fulfill that desire to receive in some way. If we are living in one nature only, which is a desire to receive pleasure, and if we are governed by pleasure and pain, there's nowhere really to run. I mean, we're not voluntarily going to run after pain, are we? We're not. We're going to stay away from pain, and we're going to move towards pleasure. And the only time we're going to be, like it writes in the article, the only time we're going to be okay with a bit of suffering is only if I expect a great pleasure after I gave some effort and suffered a little bit. And that's wishful thinking, because most of the time it doesn't happen that way. So we're going to now take a look at the most important thing in this topic, the 4 principles, the 4 factors. And that's going to be on page 379 if you got the book. If you haven't, listen to me. Okay, sorry, we're going to start from 377 at the bottom. The 4 factors. I'm going to read this whole lot, and we're going to have to know all of it. Okay, it's not hard at all. Bear in mind that every emergence occurring in the beings of the world must be perceived not as extending existence from absence, but as existence from existence, through an actual entity that has shed its previous form and has robbed its current one. Therefore, we must understand that in every emergence in the world there are 4 factors, where from the 4 of them together arises that emergence. They are called by the names the source, 2, the unchanging conduct of cause and effect related to the source's own attribute, 3, its internal conducts of cause and effect which change by contract with alien forces, and D, the conducts of cause and effect of alien things which affect it from the outside. So in everything in life there are 4 factors, 4 seasons, 4 phases to the day. And even when we start to do something, it all starts with a desire, and then a thought on how to attain my desire, and then the actions to attain that desire, and finally the attainment of it if I'm successful. So everything in life has these 4 phases. And although while Islam is writing it may be in a little complicated way, let's go over it one by one. Now the first thing is the essence of something, right? It's like a seed. For example, if we take a seed, what do we have? Let's say this is the ground. If I'm talking too fast, let me know. It's just that this is a good topic. I want to take a lot of questions and I don't want to waste any time. I want to fit everything in. Now this is a seed. Okay, let's say this is a seed. Once we've planted in the ground, for the seed to blossom up, it needs to first fully decay. However, what is in the seed is very important, because in that seed is all the information needed to make out of it a tree, let's say. Okay, let's make this a fruit tree. I'll have to excuse my drawing.
Picasso.
Right. Don't think it'll sell as much as that, but thank you for the compliment. Okay, so here we have a fruit tree. Now the seed is just a little seed, but it has all the information and it has all the potential to make it this final outcome. And because in this seed, let's call this an apple tree. From an apple seed, we're not going to get any oranges, are we? We're not going to get pears, we're not going to get grapes or figs or anything else. From an apple tree, we're going to get apples. And this seed, this information in it, will have all the characteristics for an apple tree and nothing else. This is what Baal Islam calls the source, the seed, the essence of it all. Same with us as well. From one drop of semen, a man is born. So from the thought of our progenitors, right, from our ancestors, let's say, okay, I couldn't pronounce that. Okay, from the thought of that, what happens is, from one drop of sperm, what happens is a man becomes a potential inside the mother's womb, grows and develops in there, and then is born. And all the essence of that person is in that one drop. So can you imagine that? From one tiny drop, we are born, and all our potential is in that drop. And if you think about it, if we take the same example for a human, let's say this is anybody, okay? This is our dad. This is our granddad. This is our great-granddad, and so on. We have things that are embedded in us from all of the previous generations. All previous generations. Can you imagine that? All our genetic structure, all our traits, all our DNA is an outcome of all the previous generations. No wonder the scientists have proven that all of us are connected to everybody in the world by 5 other people. So if you go out onto the street, Eliminate 4 of them. With the 5th one, you have a relationship from 5, I don't know, from 5 family lines or something. It's very interesting how we're all connected actually in reality. We're all connected in such a way because all of our previous generations are also embedded in this current new person or new baby, which is about to grow up. So inside of us, we have all the traits, the personality, the character. It's all inside of us. Just like in the apple seed, there's all the information for it to become an apple inside of us as well, in that one drop of sperm that comes from our father. When it connects with that egg in the womb from our mother, everything comes to development from that one drop. And then we grow up in our mother's womb, 9 months, and then we are born into this world with all of the traits from our previous generations. And look at all the traits that we have. All our personality, whether we're honest or dishonest, whether we're, I don't know, what else? What else can you say about us?
Lazy.
Okay, lazy, hardworking, smart, stupid, anything that we have inside of us, all comes back to us from the previous generations. So if all the essence that's embedded in me now are coming from previous generations, I don't even have the opportunity to choose who I am or what I am, what I'm going to look like, right? Where I'm going to be born, in what culture I'm going to be in. How can I have any free choice in any of those things, right? So let's just start with that. So that's our essence from that one drop. We are born in this world and all our personality and character is in there. That's the essence. That's the bed. All right. So that's the first factor. The second factor is cause and effect that stem from itself. Well, the cause and effect that stems from itself is the inner attributes that I just spoke about. For example, from an apple, we're not going to get a pear or a pineapple. We're going to get an apple. So inside that seed, there's a cause and effect that makes it develop into an apple. So that information that's embedded in there has a program of cause and effect. And from that cause and effect, we get exactly what the seed is for. Same with a human being as well. So everything that's also inside of us in our development, let me just put it back on here. Everything that's in our development as a person is programmed, because out of the information that we have from this drop, nothing else, nothing extra is going to come out. I mean, from a woman's womb, we're not going to have Spider-Man coming out or Superman. Nobody's going to be Wonder Woman. We're just going to be normal human beings. Okay? Now, Hollywood's a bit of a fantasy, but in reality, we are just the outcome of what already exists in that drop of information. And that is the inner cause and effect that allows us to grow the way we grow. And that's what the second factor is. And then we have the third factor, which is internal cause and effect. Well, internal cause and effect is a bit different, because this is the most important thing. Now we can have a different thing. Let's say a person is born. Okay? So the essence of that person is from the mother and the father. I have to excuse my drawing, so there's nothing I can do about that. Okay, so from the mother and the father, nothing we can do. That's our essence. And all the previous generations as well from them. that essence, with that information, we grow up. We're not going to grow up as a monkey. We're not going to grow up as I don't know, like Incredible Hulk. We're just going to be like our parents, okay? That's how we're going to grow. That's what the information, that's what the inner program is all about. And then we've got, that's the second factor. All right, so this is the first factor. And the second factor is that information, and that's called, from that information, what we have, the cause and effect. And he names it here, cause and effect that stem from itself. Okay, cause and effect that stem from itself. Same with animals as well, right? From a rhinoceros, we're not going to get an elephant. And the same thing. Now, the third factor is a bit important. The third factor is a bit more interesting. Let me separate it a little bit here. Now, the third factor is this. The way I grow up. Let's read this. This is important. The third reason, internal cause and effect. This is the conduct of internal cause and effect of the source which change upon encountering the alien forces in its environment. Thus we find that from one stalk of wheat which rots in the ground, many stalks emerge, sometimes larger and better wheat than prior to sowing. So what does that mean? Well, it means this. From the essence and the program of our essence, we're growing up. However, the way we're influenced by the environment gives us specialities. Well, for the better or for the worse. So we have out here an environment. According to that environment's influence on me, I'm going to become a product of the environment. Now it gives us the seed example here. Why? Because it's easier to understand. Now, just like the seed here, all right? If I place the seed in a fertile land, if I give it the minerals it needs, if I give it the water, the sunshine, if I clean those bad weeds around it after I planted it, if I look after it, if I take care of it, then it's obvious I'm going to get some serious juicy apples. Why? Because I looked after it. I gave it the food, I gave it the minerals, the water, the sunshine. I took care of all the weeds that were trying to harm its growth. And then, bingo, I've got the best apple tree ever. So this is the environment, number 3. And we're also always in the environment, right? Our family is an environment, our school, our education, our country, our culture. Wherever we're born, we're under the influence of the environment. And that environment influences this cause and effect that stem from ourselves and makes us what we are. For example, let's say we have family here, right? Now we don't decide on the family we're born in. We don't decide on the country we're born in, on the religion we're born in the culture we're born in. We don't decide on the school they sent us to. So we don't care about, we don't decide on our education. We don't even decide on what clothes to wear. Our parents just buy us stuff and they say, you'll wear it, that's it. You know, this is how you dress up, and that's how everything is. So according to how we grew up in the environment, plus the characteristics that are embedded in us from our parents in the previous generation, we become a product of the environment. That's it. By the time we're 20, we have a dress code, the way we eat, the way we think, the way we believe, the way we look at life, everything. It's just like, it's like a product. It's like artificial intelligence, actually. Okay, we become a product of the environment, and we've just become an artificial intelligent machine from protein instead of metals and plastics. It's exactly how it works. Now, add to that our nature of desire to receive pleasure for ourselves, then everything I get from the environment with this nature is just going to be directed towards fulfilling myself according to the environmental conditions and all the skills I got from the environment. That's it. No free choice on anything at all. This I've got no freedom of choice on. The parents, nobody has. What I'm going to get from the previous generations, who knows? I mean, granddad could have been a serial killer. We don't know. All of a sudden, we could have that trait inside of us that has an inclination to kill. And these things are all inside a person. Pretty soon, we're going to discover in science as well that all the character of a person, it's all in here. There's nothing we can do about it. It's all our personality traits, character, everything, whether we're going to be good people, bad people, they're all potentially in there. But what makes us good and bad, what makes us what we are in society, is the environment. So I could have a really bad trait from my dad. He could have been a serial killer, God forbid, or whatever. And I could have that trait as well. But if the environment influences me in a good way, I wouldn't be a serial killer because I'd be a good guy. I could be a really good person from my parents. I could have generous character and honest character. But if I was amongst thieves, if I was in the mob, that environment would bring out inside of me the opposite of that trait. Probably from previous generations. We don't know. So we don't really know what's inside of us as traits. What we do know is our nature, desire to receive pleasure for ourselves. And what we do know is we have not chosen any of these factors: family, country, culture, how we're going to be educated, and so on. All of that is done by our parents or whoever is administering our country with the education system. And then, by the time you're 20 years old, you become Tom, Dick, or Harry, or Harriet, whatever. And then there's the fourth factor. Now, the fourth reason is cause and effect through alien things. It means this. In a nutshell, it's very simple. There are things that influence me and make me what I am, which is the environment here. Okay? And there are things in the world which don't influence how I develop, but they do impact my life. For example, I don't know, if I got caught up in a hurricane. So the hurricane can influence my life in a negative way. I could lose my house, God forbid, or whatever, right? Or my life even. But it doesn't influence how I developed as a person, but it has influenced my life. So life experiences from that perspective. And that is the other environment, the cause and effects through alien things. For example, let's look at the apple tree so you can understand as well. For example, the apple tree is going to grow nicely according to the water, the minerals in the soil, the sun, etc. But however, if all of a sudden a truck ran into it, got off the road and ran into this apple tree and knocked it down, there you go. It doesn't have any direct influence on the growth of the apple tree, but it has just killed the apple tree. Okay, so that is called an alien factor. No direct influence on its development, but can significantly change it. Okay, change the way it exists. These 4 factors are very important because when we look at these 4 factors, we understand that we've got nothing to hold on to. How are we going to make a free choice in anything? So the Kabbalists are saying, well, listen, you can't really make a choice given the circumstances. It's just not going to happen. So what you can do, though, is this. If you understand that you're a desire to receive pleasure for yourself, your egoistic nature, and there's nothing you can do about it. However, though, if also you have a dot in the heart, which is an aspiration for, let's say, spirituality, because that's what the dot in the heart really seeks, then between these complete opposite things, you can have free choice. And free choice is exactly right in the middle, these 2 things. And all of the rest in between is no man's land. Your free choice can only happen if there are 2 opposite states that contradict each other. One is for worldly fulfillments of food, worldly fulfillments, food, family, sex, money, honor, knowledge, worldly pleasures. And the second is for eternity. Or let's say spirituality. All right, eternity sounds a little off tune because we do like to think of Kabbalah as a science. All right, let's say a higher consciousness, higher level of being. So here you're in this animate life where you end up dead. Okay, there we go. And here you have the potential to become a higher level of being, a higher level of consciousness. Only between those 2 things can you make a choice. So are you going to develop yourself with the help of the environment spiritually, or are you going to develop yourself with the help of the environment corporeally? There can be no other free choice. So if there is no dot in the heart, if I don't have an aspiration for something beyond this current level of existence, this dot in the heart, then I've got nothing to talk to with people about free choice. They just won't get it. The only thing they'll get is how to fulfill their food, family, sex, how to fulfill their money desires, let's call it, how to fulfill money, how to fulfill their honor and pride, their importance, how to fulfill their desires for knowledge. That's it. This is all. That's it. That's all they've got in life. Still vegetative, animate, and speaking level. So only against all of those desires you need a strong dot in the heart to fight and to argue and to say no. Let's make a choice in between 2 opposites, And that's where your free choice is. All of that is, in a nutshell, freedom of will. Now, because we only have 1 hour, okay, I'd like to tell you much more. We'd like to read a lot, much more, but I have to talk a little fast because we don't have a lot of time. But we've got 12 minutes, so let's nail some questions.
Alrighty, we got some good questions here. The first one is coming from Mirjana. Sorry about that. All right, sorry about that. Wonderful questions here. First question is coming from Mirjana. And the question goes like this: how to identify our personal transformation?
You can't really identify it as you're transforming, because I don't really know what it means to be 10 years old if I'm in the process of being 10 years old. But when I'm 11, I can say, you know what, being 10 that's how it was, because I've already been there, past that. So what we need to do in order to go through this transformation is just like what we do with any teaching and learning. We take a wisdom, we apply it from the people who are experts at it, and then we measure our development according to what they wrote, because they told us what to do and what will happen as we are doing it and what should happen after we've done it. That's the only way you can measure it.
Now, we've got a great question from Varga from Romania. Says, free will is constrained by the environment. How can we improve an environment regardless of the condition that it offers us?
By making more effort into it. Because the environment, at the end of the day, is just coming to you. Let's say you're in Romania, right? And let's say you want to study Kabbalah. Let's say you're studying spirituality with us. So in Romania, you have Romania, and then you have, let's say, your group in Romania. So this is your corporeal environment, okay, corporeal. And this is your friends. And your friends are the ones with the dot in the heart. So they're the group, okay? And the group has a guide that shows us, teaches us how to study Kabbalah so we can advance and come to that higher level of consciousness. Then we study from the books, from our sources, and we have friends to do the practical work with. So this environment, the group, a spiritual environment, becomes our playing zone. Okay, we stick our heads in there. Who's the friend that's asking?
Varga.
Varga. Okay, so Varga, you stick your head in the group. Through the guide, you learn what's in the book. So you learn what to do from the books. Shmuel, Efshar Tzur. Okay, so here we go. There we go. So you guys didn't see that. Sorry about that. So we've got the group here. There's Varga. What happens is, this is your corporeal environment in Romania, and let's say this is your group in Romania. We've got a really nice bunch of guys in Romania. They're a very nice group. So you got the guide, a person who teaches you. You got the books, okay, from which the guide teaches, and the books tell us what to do. Okay, the books of the Kabbalists who've already done this path for us. They've already walked the path, and they're guiding us through. And then we've got the friends. Friends is a practical application of what's written in the book. Okay, because if I don't practically do it, I'm never going to get it. This world is the world of action. I can't just cross my legs and think about an ideal spiritual state according to the books and expect to be there. Just like I can't think, cross my legs and want to be a doctor and end up being a doctor without going to medical school. It's just not going to happen, against the laws of nature. So what we need to do is stick our heads into the group and give effort. The environment doesn't have to be the most amazing environment with the most amazing Kabbalists the planet has ever seen. No, the environment just needs to be enough for me to apply this. And for that, I just need the guide, the books, and a few friends. The friends don't have to be huge Kabbalists, because I'm doing the work on me, right? And that's very important. That way, all I need to do is just give effort in the study. So in Romania, you guys have got a really good chance there.
Now, Varga is also asking, to increase the level of freedom, changing the environment is not always beneficial. What other means can we find?
Other than the environment, you won't find anything else. Because the environment is what influences us. TV, I don't know, internet, magazines, you see that the environment will take your mind wherever your head is, it's because of the environment. Yeah. Anything from Africa?
Nothing from Africa. Stephen from the UK is asking,
Oh, lovely.
where does the free choice come from? Surely not the will to receive, i.e. me.
No, obviously you need the dot in the heart. Without those two things, there's no freedom of will. Other than that, it's just you. In your desire to receive, that's just how we're all living. No freedom of choice there at all. So we must have a dot in the heart. Without a dot in the heart, there's no freedom of will.
Johan from Finland is asking, does it matter if there are no friends near me, but we study virtually?
Yeah, of course, that's great. Okay, now if there are no friends near you, that's not your fault. Okay, so you're not to blame. You're born in Finland, I don't know, maybe you're up in the north, right, where the polar bears up there, in Finland somewhere, and you got no friends near you, and that's, it's not your fault, that's where you live. All right, so but what you do have is the internet, because you're with us, okay? So you can use the internet virtually to develop yourself. It's not a problem. Now, every now and then we have congresses in Europe. It would be really beneficial if you popped over, because then you can actually get some practical work done with the friends who are on the same path as you, and that's it's very energizing as well. It's really great to meet people from all around the world who share your same aspiration and who want to attain the same thing as you do. So every now and then coming to congresses would be great. That'll really advance you. That'll really help you to advance. Yeah.
Okay, and that was our last question.
And nothing from Africa. I'm very disappointed.
Let's see here. No, the only question from Africa was from Marjana.
Yeah? All right, so we've got about 5 minutes left. Now, we are running one lesson behind now because this freedom of will, a lot of friends missed out apparently with the email that we got. So what we need to really understand in a nutshell is this. Up to now, we learned what our nature is. Up to now, we learned how the environment influences us. Up to now, also, we've learned in order for us to make a free choice, we need to have a dot in the heart who has an aspiration for spirituality, which is standing next to that desire to receive worldly pleasures. Only then can we have free choice. And to be quite honest with you, if we're all products of the environment, our free choice is going to boil down to just one decision. The environment. Which environment I want to stick my head into. If I want to stick my head into a corporeal environment, okay, Shmuel, it's you. Okay, if I want to stick my head into a corporeal environment, then that's how it's going to be. My desires are going to be for money, fame, honor, knowledge, sex, family. That's where I'm going to be at. There's no getting out of it. It's just laws of nature. The minute you guys can try this during the day. During the day, put your heads into, I don't know, into the TV for a while and see where your mind goes to. Just do this experiment. You'll find that you're going all over the place. Why? Because that TV just took you and just takes you all over the place. And then turn on a lesson and watch the lesson. And then see where your mind is going with the lesson too. Right, so it's really interesting experiment. So you just have to decide, and this is actually the only free choice really we have. Afterwards, I'm going to tell you how this is going to evolve. All right, it's going to evolve. Right now, the only thing we can really choose is the environment. But afterwards, once you become stronger, and your dot in the heart is very, very powerful, then you'll start to make further discernments about where freedom of choice can be even sharper inside the environment. That'll be exciting stuff. Now then, anything else?
Yeah, the questions are pouring in like crazy.
Now you're talking.
All right.
And we got 1 minute left. Go on then.
So, do we also get the force to be in the right environment, or is this free will?
That's up to you now. Otherwise, you'll cancel yourself.
Varga is asking, is it true that we are choosing our parents before we are born?
No, I can assure you all of us would have made a different choice, no matter how good our parents are. Okay, who wouldn't want to be the Prince of England?
Stephen says, the point in the heart is from the Creator. So how is free choice mine?
Your free choice is not whether you have a point in the heart or not. Your free choice is to choose between two natures. Yeah.
Carmen from Romania is asking, if each of us is a part of the first man, what is that part and what is the point in the heart?
That point in the heart is that part of the first man, Adam Harishon. Yes, good question.
Stephen from the UK is asking, Mike from South Africa. Are some corporeal environments better than others?
Yes.
I mean, what do we have free choice over which corporeal environment to choose? So there is some free choice, right?
Yeah, you have. You have. I mean, you can, but look, if you choose between corporeal environments, okay, let's say you want to, I don't know, let's say you want to choose a corporeal environment and be with the mob, okay? You understand that you can be with the mob, and you can do illegal things, or you can be with, people who are not the mob, who are good people, and you can have, a good standard life. It just depends on what you're really after. Okay, so you can be a thief in order to get rich, or you could be in an environment with entrepreneurs in order to get rich. So the choice of environment is not free choice there, because you're after one thing, money. Okay, I'm just giving you as an example. So let's say I want to get rich. I could join the mafia and try to get rich that way. Or I could say, you know what, I'm just going to come up with a new product. I'm going to be an entrepreneur and I'm going to get rich that way. Okay, so that kind of a choice is not a choice, because your goal is still in here. All right. Your goal is in the corporeal here. Shmuel Tzur, thank you. Okay, as long as your decision making is to get some of this, is to get these desires taken care of, it's not really free choice. It's like choosing from the menu fish instead of, I don't know, chicken because I feel like fish today. It's not really free choice. Yes, anything else?
And that was it. That was the last one.
All right, and we are just over the lesson with 2 minutes. We're going to love you and we're going to leave you. And next Tuesday, we're going to carry on with what we should have done today, which is going to be inner work in the wisdom of Kabbalah. So how we can work with our internality in order to develop ourselves. It's going to be a very interesting lesson. And that should also put us to another level of, another level there. So we're really going to we're really going to raise the bar one level higher. All right, so you guys all take care. Enjoy your evenings or daytime, depending where you are on the planet. And until next Tuesday, have a great day or evening.
Bye-bye.